Salve legionari!
Before we assist Caesar in his landing in Britain, subscribe to the channel. Let us begin. When Caesar noticed this, he ordered the long ships, whose appearance was unfamiliar to the barbarians and whose movement was more efficient, to be removed slightly from the transport ships and to be propelled by oars to the open side of the enemy. From there, they could be driven off with slings, arrows, and artillery. This maneuver was greatly beneficial to our men. The shape of the ships, the movement of the oars, and the unusual nature of the artillery disturbed the barbarians, causing them to halt and retreat a little. However, our soldiers, still hesitating due to the depth of the sea, saw the bearer of the 10th Legion's eagle, who, after praying to the gods that the matter might turn out favorably for the legion, said, "Leap down, soldiers, unless you wish to betray your eagle to the enemy. I, at least, will perform my duty to the Republic and my commander." With a loud voice, he threw himself from the ship and began to advance the eagle towards the enemy. Then our soldiers, urging one another not to allow such a disgrace, all jumped from the ship together. When the soldiers from the nearest ships saw this, they followed suit and approached the enemy. The battle was fiercely contested by both sides. However, our men were greatly disturbed because they could neither maintain their ranks, stand firmly, nor follow their standards. Each man joined the nearest standards from whichever ship he had disembarked. The enemy, who knew all the shallows, when they saw some individuals leaving the ships one at a time, spurred on their horses and attacked our men while they were encumbered, surrounding a few of them with many and hurling weapons from the open side against the entire force. When Caesar observed this, he ordered the skiffs of the warships, as well as the scouting vessels, to be filled with soldiers and sent them to assist those he saw in distress. Our men, as soon as they reached dry land, regrouped with all their comrades and launched an attack against the enemy, putting them to flight. However, they could not pursue them far because the cavalry had not been able to maintain their course and reach the island. This one thing was lacking for Caesar's accustomed success. After the battle, the defeated enemy immediately sent envoys to Caesar to negotiate peace, promising to give hostages and comply with his commands. Along with these envoys came Commius the Atterbatian, whom Caesar had previously sent to Britain. The Britons had seized Commius upon his disembarkation, as he delivered Caesar's message in the manner of an ambassador and had thrown him into chains. However, after the battle, they released him, attributing the responsibility for their actions to the populace and asking for pardon due to their ignorance. Caesar, after complaining that they had sought peace and then waged war without cause, said he would pardon their ignorance and demanded hostages. They immediately delivered part of these and said they would send the rest from distant locations within a few days. Meanwhile, they ordered their people to return to their fields, and the leaders began to assemble from all sides and commend themselves and their states to Caesar. With peace thus established, 4 days after Caesar arrived in Britain, the 18 ships that had carried the cavalry set sail from the upper port with a gentle wind. When they approached Britain and were seen from the camp, a sudden storm arose, preventing any of the ships from maintaining their course. Some were driven back to the same port they had departed from, while others were cast down to the lower part of the island, which lies closer to the west, with great danger to themselves. They cast anchor, but the waves filled the ships, forcing them to return to the mainland during the night. That same night, the moon was full, which causes the highest tides in the ocean, a fact unknown to our men. Thus, at one time, the tide filled the warships Caesar had drawn up on the shore, and the storm battered the transport ships that were anchored. None of our men had the means to manage or assist. Several ships were wrecked, and many others, having lost their cables, anchors, and other equipment, were rendered unfit for sailing. This naturally caused great confusion throughout the entire army, since there were no other ships to return them to the mainland, and all the necessary equipment for repairing the ships was lacking. Moreover, since everyone understood that they must winter in Gaul, they had not provided grain for wintering in those places. When these facts became known, the British chiefs who had met with Caesar after the battle conferred among themselves. Realizing that the Romans lacked cavalry, ships, and grain, and understanding the small number of soldiers from the small size of the camp, which was even smaller due to Caesar transporting his legions without baggage, They considered it the best course of action to renew the war, cut off the Romans from supplies, and prolong the conflict into the winter. They believed that, with the Romans defeated or their return prevented, no one would afterward dare to cross into Britain to wage war. So they made a conspiracy again, began to withdraw gradually from the camp, and secretly led their people from the fields. To see how Caesar will be successful also in Britain, you need to see the next video. But before that, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
Vale, ad che salve!